Hello and welcome to your daily dose of Satoshi's news. Today's date is Sunday, the 27th of July, 2025. The year BSV comes alive. Branch of threads, expand your mind with treechat.ai or your post put on chain. Right, let's see what we've got today. I've got a post here from CSW saying commentary, code is not law, so we'll read through that. I've got to read out this. Dan Bongino, was head of the FBI. Looks like he's dropping some truth bombs here. He's basically said we cannot run a republic like this. He says that he goes, I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned as being head of the FBI. I think he's realised that the whole country's corrupt. I've got some posts here speculating on the movement of the 80,000 BSV. Captain BSV weighing in on it as well. Got some more posts here from CSW. Cointelegraph saying 913,000 ETH worth $3.4 billion lost to user error. User error. It's such a shit coin. Cointelegraph says a Satoshi era Bitcoin investor cashes out 80,000 BTC for $9 billion via Galaxy Digital. So we'll just see what their take is on it. They're also going on about huge amounts of XRP potentially being sold. I mean, it just looks like all these big bag holders, they know what's coming. They understand the significance of the 80,000 BTC sell-off. You know, they're just like, yep. So the entire shitcoin market is predicated upon what Bitcoin can't do. It's like, oh, Bitcoin can't do that. Well, don't worry about that. We've got a shitcoin for that. Yeah, but what they don't realize is that Bitcoin can do everything, and we know it, and they know it. The only people who don't know it are the sheeple, you know, and shitcoiners, unfortunately. So we'll have a look at the XRP price. Madeira Gira said Putin delivers a devastating blow to the Rothschilds. Our future generations will be born without Rothschild chains around their wrists and ankles. A historic strike against the globalist financial empire. Wow, epic. Adam Back says what 100% in that cypherpunk legend. Adam Back just said that every crypto that isn't Bitcoin is going to zero. He's right. He is right. Because we know what the genuine Bitcoin is. Just got to touch on this absolutely epic thread here. So this started on the 1st of July, which was the first release of Teranode. And I didn't realize this is literally techies having like duking it out on social media. This thread is absolutely epic. It's literally been going on for like 27 days now since it first started. Tech versus tech. Honestly, like it goes on and on and on and on and on. Can we even get to the bottom of it here? Like, does it stop? There we go. The last tweet was from Ziggy Orcuston was today, but I mean that is absolutely epic. And again, it's the boys over at Teranode duking out against these BTC shitcoiners who just don't want to hear it. They don't want to believe it. They're trying to deny everything. I mean, the thread's epic, so we won't have time to go through it all, but yeah, we'll have a look at it. That's part of it. Kurt said if you want to develop on BSV, he said look at Bitcoin Schema, First Sat Ordinals, and S-Script platform for smart contracts, and use BSV Association site for TS and Go SDK software developer kit. SPV wallet, that's simplified payment verification wallet, and other primitive dev kits, etc. Got a little bit of 365 days of Bitcoin history, and then we'll finish with the Kellish Weather Countdown. Right, let's get into it.
Satoshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong, and transactions flying free. Just wait for the Teranode, you'll surely see.
Alrighty, here we go. Right, so let's see what Craig says here about commentary. Code is not law. The notion, often parroted in modern technological circles, code is law, is a hollow and misguided abstraction. Law is not born from lines of code or algorithmic consensus. It is forged from centuries of human experience, the same experience that gave rise to burial mounds, property rights, and the social compacts that bind communities together. Law is a human institution rooted in values, traditions, and moral frameworks. Spot on. Not in the mechanical determinism of code. Code can enforce behavior in a narrow technical sense, but it lacks the flexibility, judgment, and legitimacy that real law derives from history and culture. Spot on. Spot on. Tim Wu's observations about information empires and the monopolistic tendencies of digital platforms are a stark reminder that control over digital systems must remain anchored in legal and ethical structures rather than technical dogma. The blockchain evangelist who claims code is law forgets that every property regime, from the Neolithic burial ground to the Roman dominion, from English common law to modern capitalism, was shaped by human intent, not by immutable technical rules. Blockchain, like any tool, is a ledger, not a legislator. It can record claims, but it cannot adjudicate justice or interpret meaning. Just as the ownership of land requires markers, ceremonies, and societal recognition, so too does digital property require human government and the authority of law. The belief that algorithms alone can govern cyberspace is naive as thinking that a burial mound without the community to guard and honour it could maintain a claim to land. Law is the living memory of society. Code, no matter how elegant, is merely its tool. Spot on. Spot on. I mean, it's amazing how CSW can literally just put things so directly and succinctly. Something like that. Some people would waffle on for pages and pages and pages that he's just summarized in 3 paragraphs there. Well, brilliant. Brilliant. Right, let's go on to this then. Dan Bongino said FBIDD Bongino. He said, during my tenure as Deputy Director of the FBI, I've repeatedly relayed to you that things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they are happening. The Director and I are committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. Intelligence operations. It is a priority for us, but what I've learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. We're going to conduct these righteous and proper investigations by the book and in accordance with the law. We're going to get answers we all deserve. As with any investigation, I cannot predict where it will land, but I can promise you an honest and dignified effort at truth. Not my truth or your truth, but the truth. God bless America and all those who defend her. Respectfully, Dan. Yeah, so it sounds like they were sort of like going Wyatt Earp at this. But anybody who knows the story of Wyatt Earp knows that it ends quite tragically. Somebody trying to do things by the book and then literally the criminals running rings around them, and he ends up using criminal techniques to fight fire with fire. So maybe that's what will happen there. So Briggs has just reported on that when he said FBI director, deputy director Dan Bongino says, I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. We cannot run a republic like this. I wonder what it means. But he said, God bless America. He might not be. He might genuinely be a Christian. And we know that the deep state are not Christian actors at all. So maybe that's what he's come up against. And then he's just like, whoa, didn't realise how corrupt the whole institution was. So that's why he'll probably never be the same after having learned what he's learned. And it's taken him all these years, not realising that the conspiracy he's up against is 3,000 years old. We're in big shit. And that's a man who doesn't look too happy there. Don't blame him if he's just found out what I know. Jeepers. Packard says here, BSV is the biggest play. So again, speculation on price. It looks to me like Satoshi is cashing out of the banksters funded BTC Ponzi into money cash. And this flow this will flow into Satoshi's original design, BSV. Satoshi invented Bitcoin for everyone. The people's money. How long before the masses work it out? Good question. The masses will work it out pretty quickly, especially when the number starts moving. Especially when the volume of transactions come on the network. Captain BSV said here, you still don't know who moved the coins. That's referring to the 80,000 or 120,000 BTC. Check on the X account you all hate and compare the times of his postings to the times of the coins moving. That's just the tip of the iceberg. So much more. Yes, it's CSW. I witnessed it. Witnessed it. Yeah, brilliant. We'll know, and other people who know, we'll get on to in just a minute. But CSW has responded to Sag Scotchhorse saying, Satoshi isn't alive because if he were alive, all coins would be seen moving on the blockchain. And CSW said, you think he can outprint Tether? Really? So, in other words, it kind of, I guess Craig is saying that he knows that BTC is pumped up by Tether, and he's basically, had to wait for Tether to fill his own bags, because why wouldn't you? And then you just got to assess the top, and yeah, I would say top is in. And it looks like he's figured out as well. There's only a limited amount of movement that Tether can actually give to BTC before the printing just becomes absolutely ridiculous and everybody notices, because shitcoin is shit for brains. Can't see past the end of their nose. Gavin Mail said Tether money printing has 35 months remaining. John Pitts asks, how did you get that so exact? Due to the Genius Act. So Cointelegraph says, latest, over 930,000 ETH worth $3.4 billion lost to user error. More than 5% of ETH is permanently gone, if including EIP 1559 burns, says Coinbase exec Grogan. I think that's Conor Grogan as well. Oh my god. Honestly, Ethereum is such a shit chain. Such a shitcoin chain. Yeah, but they've got backdoors and all sorts. Yeah, it's the scam that keeps on scamming. All the scams are built on Ethereum. All of them. Yeah, ERC20 tokens, the lot. Like, absolutely insane. It is a disgrace. An utter disgrace. I mean, what a joke, though. Let's have a look at this. Cointelegraph says a Satoshi era Bitcoin investor cashes out 80,000 BTC for $9 billion via Galaxy Digital. An early Bitcoin investor has sold 80,000 BTC through Galaxy Digital, marking one of the largest crypto transactions ever in trading session marked by higher volatility. When was this? This is 25th, just 2 days ago. An early Gregcoin investor has sold 80,000 BTC through Galaxy Digital in what the digital asset company described as one of the largest notional transactions in crypto history, though details regarding the date and execution price were not disclosed. Galaxy Digital's disclosure of the sale first appeared on PR Newswire late Friday, followed by a post on the company's official blog about 30 minutes later. Cointelegraph reached out to Galaxy Digital for further details on the transaction, and although the company declined to comment further, they did confirm the authenticity of the press release. Galaxy did not reveal the client's identity, but stated that the transaction was part of the investor's broader real estate planning strategy. The announcement came on a day of heightened volatility for Gregcoin, with the price briefly dipping below $115,000 on Friday, according to Cointelegraph. Data from Look On Chain indicated several large transactions from Galaxy throughout the day, totaling nearly 30,000 BTC, with most of the funds sent directly to exchanges. Yeah, and we've seen all those. Wow. Despite heightened volatility, sold coins have been fully absorbed, analyst says. After a brief drop of nearly 4% on Friday, Gregcoin's price quickly rebounded and was last seen trading above 170,300 according to Cointelegraph. Jason Williams, analyst and author of Bitcoin Hard Money, noted that the entire sale has already been fully absorbed by the market, suggesting that prices are poised to move significantly higher. 80,000 BTC, over $9 billion, was sold onto open market order books, and Bitcoin barely moved, wrote Joe Consorti, head of growth at Thea, a Bitcoin custody infrastructure company. Bitcoin's prices surged this year, recently reaching new all-time highs above $123,000, driven by strong exchange trade fund inflows, a growing adoption in corporate treasury, and favorable regulatory developments in the United States. Wow. Yeah, I mean, just amazing. $9 billion. $9 billion. Imagine $9 billion trying to fit into a market that's only got a $34 million 24-hour trade volume. $34 million. Think about that. 34 million sounds a lot, but 34 million is like what a third of 100 million, and 100 million is only a tenth of a billion, and this is 9 billion. You know, like jeepers. So other notable people who I think have seen the writing on the wall with the 80,000 BTC seems to be this guy, Chris Larsen. So they said XRP wallet linked to Chris Larsen still has $9 billion to sell, analysts warn. XRP selling pressure could mushroom if the recent $50 billion XRP sale from a wallet linked to Ripple's Chris Larsen was just a warm-up. $50 billion. Or 50 billion XRP sale, but each XRP is like $3. So is that meant to be 50 billion or 50? So that's 100 billion. That's a lot. Key points: Ripple co-founder Chris Larsen sparks warnings to XRP investors after a wallet linked to him sends 50 million tokens to exchanges. It says billion there, or 50 million. Maybe they've got it wrong. Larsen notionally has over 2.5 billion XRP left, which would create massive selling pressure if distributed. XRP USD currently trades around 13% below recent all-time highs, failing to recover after the sell-off. XRP $3.20. Investors face new warnings over becoming exit liquidity after Ripple's co-founder Chris Larsen moved 50 million tokens to exchanges. Right, so that's not 50 billion. I think that's meant to be 50 million there. I think the editor just blew his load a little bit on that one. In a response to on X, J.A. Martin, a contributor to the on-chain analytics platform Crypto Quant, told XRP holders not to get dumped on. Chris Larsen's XRP transactions. What's next? XRP hit an all-time high. I'm not bothered about price. I really couldn't be bothered. But I would say they're all going to be cashing out because they know where the market's going to go. Especially if the BSV number starts going up, because there's $9 billion trying to get in there. Like, whoa. And yeah, imagine if transaction volumes comes on as well, and then hash rate starts to follow. Oof. You know, and then traders come in. Oof. Jeepers. That's what I'll say to that one. So looks like XRP took a dump there. So back to where it was just a few days ago. No real biggie there. So Guira Madeira said here, Putin delivers a devastating blow to the Rothschilds. Our future generations will be born without Rothschilds chains around their wrists and ankles. A historic strike against the globalist financial empire. Putin breaks the Rothschilds chains. Russia becomes the first nation to expel the global banking cartel, define the New World Order and reclaiming sovereignty. Discover the explosive details of how Putin crushed the elite's financial stranglehold. This is a revelation in the making. Don't miss it. And again, so Putin used to be part of them, and then realized what they're up to, and is basically, when he became president of Russia, solved Russia from the Rothschilds cartel and their plans to install a totalitarian one-world government. This is one of the reasons why he's invaded Ukraine, because as Nathan Rothschild said, Ukraine is an integral part of their plan because it's fulfills the trade routes between the East and the West. Child trafficking, gun running, drug, everything goes through there. Putin was just like, nope, not having it. So yeah, that's pretty amazing. That You know, that might save our asses. Jeepers. And I'm back here, this buffoon. He said, Pete Rizzo says, just in, cypherpunk legend Adam Back just said that every crypto that isn't Bitcoin is going to go to zero. He's right. Yeah, and he knows that he knows Gregcoin is also going to go to zero. Honestly, people think that douchebag is Satoshi Nakamoto. Honestly, fumbling buffoon, talking about, you know, second layer solutions and all this kind of crap. Ugh, I've got one of his speeches. Just, in fact, let's try and listen to it. Honestly, just this one particular speech alone is just absolutely insane. Your channel.
Nobody will be safe
until douchebags of Bitcoin. Here we go. Let's try and find Adam Back down here. Here we go. Let's have a listen.
Hi Adam, I got a question from a live viewer. So it's from Arnhem. In Arnhem they have the Arnhem Bitcoin Stopped initiative, which has got like 100 restaurants and bars and shops and all these sort of, they're actually accepting Bitcoin today. So they're kind of struggling with the fee situation right now. So they're kind of looking for a solution that's ready today, like something they can use as soon as possible. Now, one solution you mentioned is to use off-chain services where people could, you know, put a little bit of money somewhere off-chain at some service provider and payments happen off-chain. The other solution would be to use an altcoin that has very cheap fees. Do you think one solution is preferable over the other, and if so, why?
So, you know, fee estimation in some cases is quite bad. You know, if you're paying a friend, you can probably afford to wait 4 hours and not pay a priority fee. So I'd encourage everybody to get a wallet that allows you to override and set your own fees, set them lower. Make sure to turn on replace by fees so that you could increase them later if you guess too low. Lightning, maybe they could be an early adopter of Lightning, but
that's not really ready yet, so.
Well, I mean, you can download and make transactions and stuff, but I agree that the wallet integration is not complete. You could have, I think some Bitcoin businesses have a tab, so you pay them and then you work your tab down and presumably you can cash your tab out if you don't use it, if they have repeat custom, or maybe the shops in the local area could make a shared tab or something in anticipation of, you know, somebody in the local area who's a technology expert could make a local Bitcoin tab that's interoperable between the shops and some kind of app to do it.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Adam.
Honestly, like, what an absolute shambles that was. Maybe there could be an early adopter of Lightning. Well, Lightning's not ready yet. I agree. It's not ready yet. Wallet integration isn't quite there yet. Maybe they could use a technology expert or something. Honestly, absolute drivel. Just unbelievably embarrassing. There are people like, you know, worship the ground he walks on. He's an absolute buffoon. Oh, anyway. Let's crack on. So let's get into this. This is epic. This started off with Degan on the 1st of July saying Teranode docs are live. Check it out. And this looks like this has got literally all your classic BTC maxis in there. You can see how many accounts I've had blocked. But I mean, this is literally, you know, the top Teranode devs. Who else in this? Look, we got Jingles, William Short. Got both these shitcoiners I got blocked. You know, well, actually, I think Jingles is Greg Maxwell. You know, but I mean, this is epic. This is absolutely epic. You know, I mean, look at that, getting all technical in there, like, you know. The BTC, the shitcoin maxis, you know, they're never ever gonna admit that you know, Bitcoin can scale, because they literally don't want it to scale. Look, you know, Ziggy correcting something. He didn't say he didn't literally say it. If that's what you're looking for, look at there, getting the receipts out. October 3rd, 2010. Loving that. Brilliant. Here we go. February 14th, 2010. Loving getting those receipts out. This is ace. This is ace. One of his replies, he says here, we also have a different view of what decentralization means. In my opinion, it means that the goal is to eliminate resilience on centralized third parties. This does not mean that everyone needs to run a node. Compare it to Usenet. Decentralized, but lots of big providers. No need to run your own Usenet node. Miners are economic actors, and if they think they can make more money with the private deals, then they're free to do that. Do you have examples of transactions being dropped because of this? Again, I mean, just calling out all these, Greg Maxwell on his shitcoining, pretty much. But that's that is literally one absolutely epic tweet talking about the technicals. But I mean, again, these shitcoiners literally will just chat shit. Literally, they will chat shit. It's a waste of time talking to them. Literally a waste of time. CSW knows that as well. So it doesn't get involved in that anymore. It just, the only time CSW does get involved in an argument is just because he's in the mood for one. That's it. There's literally no point. Like when Teranode is launched, that is it. That is it. You can debate about speculation all day long until the cows come home, but utility is undeniable. You can't say that didn't do 3 million transactions in a second because all the records are on chain and in a block. You can't say the block fee didn't generate this much because the block fee is right there. It's right there. This lot are just kicking the can down the road, but really fascinating to see what an amazing thread that is and how many people are in it that I've actually got blocked already. All right, 26 minutes gone already. Yeah, that was just sort of more of that I saw. Kurt said if you want to develop on BSV, so we've got a Bitcoin schema, he said, to learn. Ace, be looking at that. Data definition for Bitcoin applications. Why Bitcoin schema? Standardized data structures enable powerful interoperability between applications. First at ordinals for tokens. Awesome. And S-script platform. Yeah, definitely need to look at those. Right, but a little bit of 365 days of Bitcoin history on the 27th of July 2021. Crypto influencer Nuggets News CEO Alex Saunders accused of not yet being able to repay followers. So basically, he ripped off all of his followers. Promised them something and then didn't pay him back, and then admitted that he got greedy while trading. So basically, another classic shitcoiner, thinking he can trade his way to the moon and lost the effing lot. And ended up literally having to rip off his listeners by selling them some like bullshit yarn or whatever. Nobody hears, literally lost all of his followers. Nobody listens to him anymore. I mean, classic case of shitcoining. Go shitcoining, expect to get shat on. That's what I say, and that's what happened to him there. Learning the hard way. Right, it's the 27th of July, 2025. We've got 53 days left of the Kellenschweller countdown, so remember, stay tuned, hit that subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss any of the shenanigans that happens between now and then. It's going to be absolutely epic. Right, so until then, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you tuned into the next one.
2 years ago, you got SegWit, which we lied and cheated and stealed, and I was part of the lying and cheating and stealing to get SegWit, to get Lightning, which, by the way, had critical vulnerabilities and lost people's money.
The king still has one more move.
Remember, Bitcoin is BSV. Everything else is BS.